Alright, hi everyone. I literally just got home from work, but I want to share my thoughts on something. So, I just got on my TikTok page and I follow this woman. We technically actually follow each other, and basically, she used to be a dancer in a gentleman's club. That's the most respectful way to say it. And she made a video like giving women advice that basically essentially she was saying, "Oh, well, if you don't dress sexy," cuz basically someone made a video saying like they want to dress modest because when you dress a certain way, a lot of men just want to sleep with you. Like if you over sexualize yourself, you're going to get a lot of men whose only interest in you is sex. Which is true. I don't think that is a wrong information, but I feel like she responded to that pretty much with the skewed point of I feel like she has a very skewed mindset because she worked in an industry that's literally all about looks. And so, of course, if you're in an industry where you're being objectified by men, you're going to think that objectification is a is a prize essentially. And she basically said, I bet you if I put a bunch of men in a room, they're all going to want a woman that dresses more sexy than a woman that dresses more modest. And I'm like, well, the men that you were surrounded with and the club, probably so. They would probably maybe choose a woman that dressed sexier, but I feel like not realizing that that is skewed to a mindset where you're in an environment where your looks and your body is what the is you're surrounded by men who want women based off of their looks and their body. And so I definitely think that's it's a very objectifying way to view yourself, honestly. Um and also I feel like you're only still attracting men that are objectifying you at the end of the day. So, I can say from even just my own personal experience that like showing more skin or dressing more sexual, you are going to get a lot more sexual attention from men. But unless your goal is to have sexual attention from men, it's really not attention that you actually want. But I guess because she worked in a club where you wanted that attention because that attention made her money, it's like that's where the advice she gave comes from. And to be quite honest, I feel like that advice only works if you're in the adult industry and you benefit in some way by being objectified by men. But for the average woman, no. Like unless you're willing to sell your body for money, making yourself over sexualizing yourself is not going to really benefit you in any type of way as far as finding a man that actually respects and values you. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and bash the girl because, like I said, I feel like she was just telling what she felt from her perspective. But like I said, it was biased to her perspective was biased because of the fact that she worked in the um adult industry. So, anyways, I feel like it's very true. And the other thing she basically insinuated was that women who don't dress sexual get cheated on. And that if a woman doesn't look good for her man, that the man will cheat on her. Which I feel like there is some truth in it. And I feel like there's truth in it, but the truth, even if that is truth, isn't that just like sad? Like, I feel like there's so much just wrong with having this view that the most important thing about you is your outward appearance, basically. It's a very like just superficial way to think about yourself and about the world, and basically equating your looks as being the most valuable thing about you. Um, and for me, like I said, the type of men that type of mindset attracts, I feel like, are men that are superficial. And if you don't want a superficial relationship, I would say there's nothing wrong with dressing your best or wanting to look your best or wanting to, put effort into your appearance. Now, y'all know from my personal just watching my videos, I'm not someone that is super focused on my outward appearance. If I need to look put together, I can and will for whatever occasion. But 9 times out of 10, I like to dress comfortable and I don't like to wear a lot of makeup. Not because I feel like those things, it's bad to dress cute or it's bad to wear makeup. It's just, I honestly don't feel like I need to every day based off of just like I work with kids and things like that. Now every now and again if I feel like doing my makeup or I want to look cute, I'll do it. It's just not like the most important thing for me. And I feel like that's okay. But the other reason too is I personally don't want a man that is objectifying me. And I don't want a man whose main value is my outward appearance. Like, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't want someone to, like, obviously, if you're in a relationship with someone, you want that person to be attracted to you physically. But I think for me, if I feel like that person's main interest in me is just my looks, it's personally not very flattering for me, and I wouldn't really feel very secure in that type of relationship because, you know, it just leads to that is like that mentality of, oh, well, what happens when you get older? Like, are you going to say, oh, now that you're not attracted to me, I serve no value to you? And, you know, it's just like, it's a very, like, when you make your entire worth or value around your looks, you're pretty much equating your self worth to how good you look to other people. Everyone's gonna get old. I don't want to say being old makes you ugly, but you're not going to be as attractive in your 50s, 60s, 70s as you are in your 20s, 30s. And so, if the only thing you value about yourself is your outward appearance, and as you age, naturally, you're not going to be as attractive to most men. I feel like it's like putting all of your eggs into something that is not long lasting. So I would hope someone, you can appreciate the way someone looks, but I would want someone to like me for more than my looks personally. I would like someone that's interested in, my character, how I treat people, my heart, like just more things than just my physical appearance. And maybe it's can be true that a lot of guys are just only care about looks, and I feel like that's unfortunate and probably true for a lot of men. Like, we live in a very superficial world where a lot of people just care about the aesthetic and the how someone looks like. But I feel like there's a lot more to a relationship than just being good, like just being someone who looks good. So I definitely don't I'm not disagreeing with what she's saying because it's definitely true. There are men that will leave their wives because they're no longer attracted to them. Like, that's a reason that there are couples who break up. I feel like for me, the issue to me more lies in like the values that people hold. Like, I wouldn't want to be with someone whose main interest in me or what they value the most about me is my physical appearance, because I would never, personally, I would never feel secure in a relationship that's based off of how good I look to that person. And that's the thing they mostly care about. Which I feel like I also kind of commented on when I made my video talking about why being a trophy wife is not a prize, because you're basically objectified based off of your outward appearance. Um, and you don't want to be with a person that objectifies you. And I don't think people really understand what that means. Maybe let me read the definition of what objectification is. Objectification. Okay. So, objectification is the act of treating a person as an object or thing rather than a subject with their own humanity. It can involve a person's behavior, thoughts, and the cultural products that reinforce it. And a lot of people do have self objectification, which is internalizing the idea that one's body is an object to be scrutinized by other. Um, it says objectification can be reinforced by cultural products like sexualized clothing, toys, and media. But basically, if you see when you place all of your value into your outward appearance and say, like, this is what matters most about me, is how people perceive me. I want people to perceive me and view me as attractive. That's your main focus. You're going to attract men who value those things about you, right? That they want you because of the way that you look, and that is their main focus. So when you objectify yourself as well, you're going to attract the type of men that are going to objectify you and treat you like an object because that's how they see you. And it's like the way you see yourself. I feel like this is something I've always felt as well. What you value most about yourself is also what other people are going to be attracted to you for. So if the main thing about yourself you like is the way you look, and that's what you value most about yourself, you're going to seek a partner who values the way you look. And so it is a lot of times kind of a self-fulfilling self-fulfilling prophecy almost, because people think that people think that, you know, they'll just like, what am I trying to say? Basically, you attract what you project. So I always use the example, like there's certain men who like complain about how they don't want to attract gold diggers, but the thing that they are often displaying about themselves is how much money they have. And they're constantly flexing their wealth, and they're constantly flexing like just imagine you go on someone's Instagram, a man's page, and all they're showing is like pictures of money and a nice car, and them wearing luxury clothes or whatever. So the image that they're putting out is that they have a lot of money, and then when they're attracting women who want men with lots of money, who are looking at like, this is what you're signaling is what you have, lots of money, like you're going to attract more gold diggers, because what you are putting out to the world is, and what they also value most about themselves is how much money they have. So I'm like, if you are value most about yourself how much money you have, and you're portraying that, projecting that to the world, and then you're surprised that women who care about how much money you have are the main ones you're attracting, that's what you're putting out to the world. So I think it's always kind of like ironic, but basically what you project is what you attract. So if the thing you value most about yourself is your body or your attractiveness, you're gonna attract people who care about those things as well. And I feel like that's almost what you would want to attract, right? If you are putting all this effort into making yourself attractive and sexy or whatever, it's because you want a man who thinks you're attractive and sexy. That's because you value that. So basically you attract what you are. um so anyways, I just wanted to say that. And I also, like, yes, there are men, the fact that there are men that will cheat on their spouses because they no longer find them attractive, or they claim they let themselves go. I feel like that is something that, when you are getting a man that is main interest in you is just your looks, I feel like that's would be a concern as well. Like, if that person's the main reason that person wants to be with you is because you look a certain way, and then maybe years down the line you have some kids, you put on some weight, maybe you're too tired to do your makeup because you're chasing, running around taking care of kids and whatever. And it's true, like, you can let yourself go, or postpartum depression is also a thing as well for women when they have children. They can go through postpartum depression, which can make it really hard for that woman to want to put any effort into their appearance. So there's so many, like, just different things that affect a woman basically wanting to look a certain way, and then to have a man basically say, oh, well, you don't look like how you used to, so I'm no longer attracted to you, and I want to date someone else, or that will cheat on their spouse. It's just like, that's a very superficial thing to begin with. That's a very sad that happens. But that's also, like, I wouldn't want a man that's the main thing they care about with me is my looks. That's just personally how I feel about it. For a lot of reasons, but also I personally don't think my looks matter that much. So I wouldn't want someone whose main interest in me is just my looks. Like, that's just how I feel. I don't put too much focus on my outer appearance. Not because, I mean, I did make that video saying I feel ugly. Which, y'all, I appreciate all like the really loving, supportive comments I got. And honestly, that video was kind of like not really intentional. I was just sharing like how I felt at the time. Like, I was like, I literally just did my makeup and did all of this stuff, and I still feel ugly. I just really did not feel great about myself that day. And that's just common for a lot of women, for whatever. We have a lot of, I don't know. That's a whole nother topic. But anyways, I don't think I'm actually ugly. It's just sometimes it's hard to feel really good about. It's like I don't always feel very confident in myself or in my appearance, and that's okay. I don't have to. But anyways, I'm getting distracted. So, back to the point I was making. I don't really understand why this woman, and I feel like this is me just trying to understand from someone who worked in an industry where the main interest men had in her was her body and her looks. Of course, you're going to put more value into those things. You worked in an industry where that was what was most important. And so for you, or for her, she sees like being sexy and looking good as being the most important thing, because that's what the men who wanted access to her liked about her. Basically, the men that she attracted liked mostly the fact that she had a nice body and looked good, and they liked that look. But I also think like I don't think you should solely want a man that's interested in you is just those things, which, I mean, to each their own at the end of the day. Like, I can't control what other people want in their relationship. That's for, like, basically you just to decide for yourself. Like, to each their own. If she has a husband, she has a relationship that she's happy in, let people be. Like, I'm never going to pass judgment on how someone else is living their life. I can just say, like, I don't agree with that, and I probably wouldn't do that myself, but to each their own. So, the other part of that, too, is, like, it was, like, she, in her head, there's an issue with being modest because she was around, like, her not being modest is what made her money, basically. So, she basically had a more negative view of like modesty. She's like, what man is gonna want a woman who dresses in a turtleneck? Like, she didn't see the value in modesty or didn't understand that. And I feel like for me personally, I feel more comfortable dressing modest than I do feel wearing like super revealing clothing. Like, I always feel very exposed if I'm like wearing something that's showing a lot of skin. Me personally, I wouldn't be comfortable wearing certain things. But again, I feel like people have different perspectives on it based off of their life experiences. So that's why I'm just letting it be known, like, this person's ideas on modesty is skewed to the fact that she worked in the adult industry where men's main interest in her was her body and her looks, and therefore she doesn't value modesty the way maybe other women would who don't feel like they benefited from sexualizing their bodies. And that's why I'm like, if you're in the adult industry where you're rewarded for not being modest or for showing more skin, that's you have a very skewed mindset surrounding it, because in your world, you made more money the less clothes you wore, basically. which is so sad to say, but that's just like the truth. The truth is she has that perspective because of the field that she chose to work in, and that's just like for her personally, that's how she sees it. But I feel like honestly, unless you're in the adult industry, you're not really gonna benefit from, I mean, honestly, I don't know. If you don't mind being treated like a sex object, then by men, then that's, I guess, and that's something you feel like you're fine with. Personally, I would not be okay with that. I don't like getting sexual attention from men. It makes me feel icky. Like, I don't like being objectified. Like, personally, I mean, I don't think any woman likes being objectified, but maybe some do because they objectify themselves, and so they see objectification from men as a compliment. Whereas I don't objectify myself, so if I feel like I'm being objectified by someone, I feel disrespected personally. But that's why I said, like, if your self objectification turns into looking at getting sexual attention as being a form of praise because you've objectified yourself, and I don't want anything to do with that. I don't see that as being something beneficial towards me. But I think, like I said, that's a mindset that is skewed based off of how you perceive yourself and how you perceive the world. So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Let me know y'all's thoughts in the comments.